morning all of you students. So today we want to lectures on the MSc Physics second year. Subject is the energy studies and continue the first chapter or module. First is the energy resources and energy scenario. Summary of the last lecture we have to see here: solar energy and wind energy. So solar energy is extracted from the sun in the form of the solar radiation, and the huge amount of solar energy is reaches on the earth. So out of total output is 2.5 into 10 to the power 22 kilowatt per year. Whole amount of this energy 1.5 into 10 to the power 8 megawatt per year. So this much amount of energy reaches on the earth surface in the world everywhere. So extraction of the solar energy from this energy. So this is totally renewable energy. In last lecture we have to see the advantages and disadvantages of the solar energy. After we have to see that the idea about the extraction of the wind energy. That wind energy is harnessed with the help of the windmill. So that is the kinetic energy of the wind. It's converted into the electricity, that is known as the wind energy, and this is wind energy is totally environment friendly energy because does not create the pollution. And we have to see in the last lecture that the advantages or limitations of the wind energy. So in this lecture we have to see what is meant by the biomass energy or bioenergy. So you know that biomass energy is also known as the bioenergy because this biomass energy is released or extract from the organic matter. That organic matter consider as plants as well as the animals or organic compounds which are released the biomass energy. So see here that biomass energy known as the bioenergy, and that is the renewable forms of energy which is produced from the organic matter, and this biomass occurs in the form of living or recently living plants and the waste. Okay, so that is I have told that few seconds ago that biomass energy is produced from the living forms of the matter or the waste materials. That waste material is considered as agricultural waste as well as the organic matter waste as well as the human being waste, sludge, that's etc. So from that material we have extract the biomass energy, and that biomass energy which is contained inside the plants and animals. Okay, so that energy is contained is the inside the parts of the animals and the plants. That is mean by that include the organic matter of all kinds of the plants, animals, waste product from the organic sources, etc. blah blah. Okay, and that material used to produce the biomass energy include the forest residues. That is, for example, mean by the forest residue which is considered as the stem of the plant and branches, dead trees and tree stems. That materials which is extract from the forest residue in terms of, for example, and also wood chips, yard clippings and municipal solid waste. This is also the source of the extraction of the biomass energy. The wood is the largest source of biomass energy which is extraction from the wood, because would have considered the part of the, because you have to know that the process of photosynthesis. What is the process of the photosynthesis? That is the leaves of the plants which is absorb the carbon dioxide in the nature and release the oxygen, that absorb the carbon dioxide which is provided to the other parts of the trees, and that all parts of the trees which have released the oxygen in the nature. Or for example, or that roots absorbs under the surface of the earth, so which have absorbed the water molecule as well as the nutrients. So that is mean that the water molecule and carbon dioxide molecule or carbon molecules which are already inside the plants and the animals, or also see that animals which eats the that natural vegetables or trees part, that is fruits or something, that is that also known as the that carbon dioxide, water molecules and other nutrients parts also in the animals body. So that is totally nutrient process, because absorption of the carbon dioxide or carbon molecules or the water molecules or the nutrients and release in the another form, so that is total nutrient process. So biomass energy which is extract or harness from these carbon molecules as well as the water molecules, and this the same energy is passed through the animal when they eat them, and that considered as the renewable source of the energy. When that source is, or for example wood or other waste are burned, that can grow more plants and crops and create the biomass energy. So this biomass energy which have gives the more advantages and disadvantages with respective. So we want to see here first the advantages of the biomass energy, or list the advantages of the biomass energy. So for example, biomass energy is the renewable source of energy which is extracting from the lowest cost. So the main point is the advantages of the biomass energy, and the first advantages is it is a renewable form of energy. It is a renewable form of energy. Okay. So that point, that is renewable form of energy, is considered the renewable form of energy, because that extraction of this biomass energy which has produced the organic materials or matters, and that material used to produce the ether from the never ending part. So because this organic material or forest residues or agriculture wastage are produced from again and again, and that is why this biomass energy is also produced of the last ending or never ending processes. Okay. and that the organic material including wood, crop, waste, garbage, sewage, sludge and manure are continuously produced by the society. So that is mean by biomass energy is considered as the renewable source of the energy. Now next advantages is the it is carbon neutral. Second advantages is the it is carbon neutral. So that is what is mean by that biomass energy takes care of the so that biomass energy takes care of release of the vast amount of carbon, since it is the neutral part of the carbon cycle, because the carbon is emitted to the environment from the burn of the biomass fuel and absorbed by the plants in the course of their life cycle. So that is mean by so that carbon is the material is emitted environment to the burn of the biomass. For example, if we burn the wood, if we burn the branches of the wood or branches of the trees, if we burn the vegetable waste, if we burn the agricultural waste, that have produce or emit the carbon, and that carbon is also absorbed the living plants. Okay, so that is the renewable or renew life of the carbons, and that the process of refining the use of the plants materials or new ones that spring absorb the equal quantity of the carbon, and that developing the neutrality or witness no new carbon generated that aspect to renders the source or the abandoned. Okay, so this is the one advantages of the it is the carbon neutral or do not more pollutions. Next advantages is widely available. Widely available. So this is third advantages that is mean by, because you know that bioenergy or biomass energy which is extracted from the organic matter or wastage material, so that wastage material are generally available in the form of solid or other forms for every time. So that likewise as the sun energy and wind energy that are available for all times, that is this energy is also or biomass energy is also available for every time, because it is the abundant supply or it is available for every nook or cranny of the world, and that fact the abundant supply of the drilling to reach the oil wells, construction gas of pipelines or collections of the biomass fuel, and the energy cost does not depends upon the aspect such as the availability of NIJAC, decision of energy production supply firms, and that is the low biomass cost makes to energy extraction, or that is mean by the widely available of the raw materials or wastage which have produced the biomass energy. Next one is the it is cheaper compared to the fossil fuel. So next advantages is that is fourth advantages, it is cheaper, it is cheaper compared to fossil fuel. compared to fossil fuel. So that is, in this type we have considered why this biomass energy is compared to the fossil fuel is cheap. Because you have to know that producing biomass energy does not involve heavy capital outlay, because it does not require how much or substantial amount of money. And fossil fuel production, if we compare the fossil fuel production, that is coal production, petroleum as well as gas, have required the fuel amount of energy, and that comparing for both extraction or harnesses process of biomass energy, or harnesses or extraction process of the fuel energy, or fossil fuel, and transportation cost of the fossil fuel is more as compared to this fossil biomass energy resources. So that's why it is cheaper compared to the fossil fuel. Next advantages is the minimizes over dependence on the traditional electricity. This is advantages. So minimizes over dependent on traditional electricity, on traditional electricity. Next advantages is reduce amount of waste in landfills, reduces amount of waste in landfills. Next one is the can be used to create different product, can be used to create different product. So that is minimizes the over dependence on the traditional electricity. So that is, you know, that produce the biomass energy because the use of the raw material available is the everywhere. So that traditional forms of electricity can sometimes is unreliable due to the power outages. So that biomass energy is produced at home and can be good backup for the traditional electricity. So that is, biomass energy is help to the backup for this traditional electricity. Again, reduce the amount of waste in the landfills, that is the most are wastage are produced from the homes is either plant matter or biodegradable. So that kinds of wastage used to produce the biomass energy or bioenergy. So that is all waste material is have collect from this nature, and that is help to reduce the amount of waste in the landfills. Next is can be used to create different products. So that is mean by that biomass energy is also versatile as different forms as the organic matter, and that can be used. For example, ethanol and similar fuels can be made from the corn and other crops, and so many living things on the planet. There is no limit to how many ways it can be found or used. So that is can be used for create the different product. So now this is the all we have to see here, the advantages of the biomass energy. Summarize this, it is the renewable forms of energy it is the carbon neutral, it is widely available, it is cheaper as compared to the fossil fuel, minimizes the over dependence on the electricity. It is also reduces the amount of wastage from the landfill, or it is can be used to create the different products from, for example, ethanol and other chemical fuels which have created in the biomass energy. So now we have to see here the disadvantages of the biomass energy. Here advantages of the biomass energy, and we have to see here the disadvantages of the biomass energy. Disadvantages of the biomass energy, and first disadvantages is not entirely clean. So first limitation or disadvantages is biomass energy is not entirely clean, because we have to use here the production of the biomass energy use animal waste as well as plant waste as well as the organic matters. So that material is release or emit the carbon dioxide emissions, and it increases the methane gases which are also harmful to the earth's ozone layer. So that waste product can smell, which is not physically harmful, but it is definitely unpleasant to attract the unwanted pest and spread bacteria and the infection. So that's why that is not entirely clean. So we have to know that extraction of this energy, so that is the number of greenhouse gases or carbon dioxide materials, or that materials which are emitting from the extracting of the biomass energy, which has affected the ozone layer of the earth and emitting the unpleasant smell. So that's why the first disadvantages is not entirely clean. Now next disadvantages is given the risk of the deforestation. So this is second disadvantages, that is the risk of the deforestation. So that is mean by we have to harness the biomass energy. So needs to the agriculture waste as well as the forest residue or forest waste, and that biomass energy source are renewable but have to be utilized. The sustainability or uncontrolled biomass energy production, so that can result the deforestation, because all these raw material which have used to produce the biomass energy, which are collect from the forest part or tree desert or which has caused to desertification of the lands, and that deforestation is allowed to happen, the animal and bird species will be rendered the homeless. Okay, so that one of the disadvantages, because which is caused deforestation, which is caused to the biodiversity as well as that animals and plants which is depends upon this, or some animal species, that is birds or animals which has depends on this forest, and if we got this deforestation, so that all animals or species are homeless. So that is main of the disadvantages. Next one is require a great deal of water. Next third limitation or disadvantages is require a great require a great deal of water, great deal of water. Next one is inefficient as compared to fossil fuel. Inefficient as compared to the fossil fuel. So that is mean by if we have extract the biomass energy, so that despite fact that is natural in many ways and that doesn't compare to the fossil fuel energy regards the efficiency, because some renewable sources energy like biofuels are prepared to fossil fuel increases the efficiency, and although opinion to divided about the overall sustainability of the biomass energy, and if we compare the efficiency of this fossil fuel or biomass energy, so that biomass energy is inefficient as compared to this fossil fuel energy. So these are the disadvantages of the biomass energy, or require the great deal of the water, that is the most invisible disadvantages of the biomass fuel. So all plants matter need to the sufficient amount of water, and if water is not available, so that irrigation system is totally depends of the water, and that water or irrigation system will have to be developed, and which can prove that costly irrigation may also the limit availability of water humans and the wildlife. So this is also disadvantages of the biomass energy, because that all biomass energy plant have required the huge or much amount of water. So that problems is given, that is scarcity of the water or the available limit of the water depends on this the extraction of the biomass energy, and it is insufficient efficiency, or as compared to the fossil fuel, the efficiency of fossil fuel is higher than this biomass energy. So that is the disadvantages, or we have to need to increase the efficiency of the biomass resources. The next point or next main energy point is given here, so that is the geothermal energy, or we want to study. So what is mean by the geothermal energy? So here we have to shortly see what is mean by geothermal energy and limitations and advantages will be seen in the next lecture. So geothermal energy. So that is what is mean by geothermal energy, and that geothermal energy is originate or harness in the earth interior form of the heat. So geothermal energy originates from the geothermal energy originates from the earth's interior, from the earth's interior in the